Okay, buckle up because this is a wild ride. I always knew my parents were a bit much, especially when it came to my sister Emily, but I never expected them to absolutely lose it when I finally did something for myself for once. Buying a house should be a happy thing, right? Well, in my family, it turned into World War III, and all because I dared to put myself first. You won't believe why they flipped out. It's even crazier than you're probably imagining. My name is Alex, and for 28 years I've basically been the responsible child. You know the type. Good grades, steady job since college, always there to lend a hand, and yes, always the one excited to pick up the slack for my younger sister, Emily. Emily is a free spirit. That's the polite way of putting it. The less polite and frankly more accurate way is to say Emily is a hot mess express. She's 2 years younger than me, but you'd think she was the baby of the family the way my parents treated her. It was always Emily this, Emily that. Emily needs help with rent, Emily needs a new car, Emily's business idea needs funding. That one lasted all of 3 months before crashing and burning, by the way. And who do you think was always subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, pressured to contribute to the Emily Fund? Yours truly. Alex is so good with money, my mom would chirp, conveniently forgetting that good with money translated to working my butt off since I was 16, while Emily was finding herself. Translation, waitressing part-time and spending the rest of her time on TikTok. Don't get me wrong, I love my sister. In theory. When she's not borrowing money, she totally swears she'll pay back next week, or needing me to just explain this one thing about taxes, which turns into me basically doing her taxes for her. But honestly, sometimes I felt like I was living in the shadow of her. Chaos. Like my parents were so busy putting out Emily's fires that they barely noticed I was even there, quietly succeeding, being responsible, just existing. For years I lived in a small, slightly depressing apartment. It was fine, functional, but definitely not me. I'd always dreamed of owning a house, a real house with a yard, maybe even a dog someday. A place that was mine, truly mine. A sanctuary away from the constant family dynamics. I'd been saving aggressively for years, cutting back on takeout, skipping vacations, driving my old, reliable, but definitely uncool car. Finally, after what felt like forever, I had enough for a down payment. I started browsing listings online, just casually at first, then more seriously as I realized this wasn't just a pipe dream anymore. This was actually happening. The thrill of finding the one was incredible. It was a cute little bungalow in a decent neighborhood, a bit of a fixer-upper, but with good bones and a huge, sunny backyard, perfect for that imaginary dog. I could see myself there, really see myself, building a life, making it my own. I put in an offer, nervously biting my nails, and then it was accepted. Just like that. I was going to be a homeowner. I was ecstatic. Over the moon. I couldn't wait to tell my parents. I imagined them being proud, happy for me, maybe even a little impressed that their responsible son had actually gone and done something big, something adult. Oh boy, was I wrong. I decided to tell them at Sunday dinner. Big mistake, in retrospect. Sunday dinner at my parents' house was always a carefully orchestrated performance of family togetherness, usually with Emily as the star of the show, regaling us with tales of her latest venture or complaining about her latest bad luck. I waited until dessert, when everyone was relaxed and full of Mom's famous apple pie. So I started, trying to keep my voice casual. I have some news. My mom perked up, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Ooh, news. Good news, I hope. She always assumed any news from me was automatically good news, because I was Alex, and Alex only ever delivered good news. Yeah, I said, taking a deep breath. Really good news. I bought a house. Silence. Not the good kind of silence, the stunned into speechlessness kind. The heavy, pregnant silence that felt like the air had just been sucked out of the room. My dad stopped chewing his pie, his fork hovering halfway to his mouth. Emily, who had been mid-sentence about some drama with her roommate, who was actually her on-again, off-again boyfriend who never paid rent, just stared at me, her mouth slightly agape. My mom was the first to break the silence, and her voice was not what I expected, not congratulatory, not excited, not even curious. It was tight, almost accusatory. You bought a house? Yeah, I said again, a little confused by her tone. I did. I closed on it last week. It's really great. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I even managed a nervous smile. My mom put down her fork with a clatter. Alex, she said, and my name coming from her mouth like that, sharp and clipped, was never a good sign. Why would you do that? Why would I? I blinked, completely thrown. Mom, it's a house. I've been wanting to buy a house for years. I finally saved up enough money. It's a good investment. It's my dream. But Emily needs a house. The words exploded out of her, laced with a kind of bewildered outrage that made my jaw drop. I stared at her. Then I looked at my dad, hoping for some kind of sanity check. He just shrugged, avoiding eye contact and fiddling with his napkin. Traitor. Emily needs a house? I repeated slowly, trying to process what I was hearing. Mom, Emily is 26 years old. She's perfectly capable of buying her own house. Ignoring the fact that Emily's perfectly capable often translated to perfectly capable of racking up credit card debt and then crying to mom and dad about it. But she doesn't have the money, my mom wailed, as if this was some kind of devastating tragedy. You know, Emily's struggling. She's still trying to get her jewelry business off the ground. The jewelry business that consisted of Emily stringing beads together and selling them on Etsy for a whopping $5 each. Mom, I said, trying to keep my voice even, I've been saving for this for years. This is my money. I earned it. I want to invest in my future. Your future? My mom scoffed. What about family? Don't you care about your sister's future? Of course, I care about Emily, I said, feeling a familiar surge of frustration bubbling up inside me. But her future is not my responsibility. And frankly, Mom, Emily's struggling is usually a direct result of her choices. Choices like quitting jobs after a week because they were too stressful, or spending her rent money on designer handbags. How can you be so selfish? My mom's voice was rising, her face turning red. After everything we've done for you, after all the sacrifices we made. Ah, yes, the Guilt Trip Express had officially arrived. Choo-choo. Sacrifices? I echoed, my own voice starting to rise now. Mom, what sacrifices? You and Dad provided for me and Emily. Yes, but that's what parents are supposed to do. I worked hard, I got scholarships, I paid for my own college. I've been financially independent since I graduated. Emily is a grown woman. Why is it always my responsibility to bail her out? It's not about bailing her out, my mom insisted, although it absolutely, unequivocally was. It's about family. We're supposed to help each other. And you, Mr. Successful, you have all this money and you're just going to hoard it for yourself? While your sister is struggling? It's not hoarding, Mom. It's saving and investing, I practically yelled. And it's my money. I can do whatever I want with it, including buying a house for myself. But we were counting on you. My mom's voice suddenly dropped, becoming softer, more manipulative. The Guilt Trip Express was now switching tracks to emotional blackmail. We hoped that when you finally made it, you would help Emily. We were going to ask you to help her with a down payment. We just didn't want to pressure you. Oh, for crying out loud, they were counting on me. They hoped I would bail Emily out. They were going to ask me for money. But they didn't want to pressure me. Right? And pigs fly. You were going to ask me to pay for Emily's house? I said, incredulous. Seriously? Before I even bought my own? You think that's normal? It's family, my mom repeated, like that explained everything, justified everything. And Emily needs it more than you do. You already have a perfectly good apartment. Emily is living with that roommate situation. It's not stable. Because moving from one barely paying boyfriend to another was the definition of unstable, apparently. Mom, I said, trying to take a deep breath and calm myself down, I am not paying for Emily's house. I'm sorry, but no. I bought a house for myself. I'm excited about it. I'm happy. And frankly, I deserve to be happy without feeling guilty about it. That was apparently the wrong thing to say. The absolute, catastrophic, nuclear bomb level wrong thing to say. My mom's face crumpled. Tears welled up in her eyes. How can you say that? She choked out. How can you be so cruel, so heartless, after all we've done for you? And she launched into a dramatic, tearful monologue about all the sacrifices they had made, how ungrateful I was, how I was breaking their hearts, how Emily was going to be devastated, how I was ruining the family, blah, blah, blah. My dad predictably joined in, muttering about disappointment and family loyalty and how I was turning my back on them. Emily just sat there, silent, but with this smug, self-pitying expression on her face that said, "See? I told you Alex was selfish." The whole thing was insane. Absolutely, utterly bonkers. They weren't happy for me, they weren't proud of me, they were furious. Furious that I had dared to do something for myself without first checking in with them, without first considering how it would benefit Emily. I stood up, my hands shaking with anger and disbelief. "You know what?" I said, my voice trembling. I'm done. I'm done with this. I bought a house, for me, because I wanted to, because I could. And if you can't be happy for me, then I don't know what to say." And I walked out, just like that. Left them sitting there at the Sunday dinner table amidst the apple pie and the shattered remains of my imagined parental approval. I got in my car and drove away, tears blurring my vision, feeling a strange mix of anger, hurt, and relief. In the days and weeks that followed, the silence was deafening. No calls from my parents, no texts. Emily, of course, texted me a few times, mostly passive-aggressive digs about how some people just didn't understand the meaning of family. I ignored them all. I threw myself into getting the house ready, painting walls, fixing leaky faucets, planting flowers in the overgrown garden. It was hard work, exhausting even, but it was also cathartic. Every swing of the hammer, every brushstroke of paint felt like I was building something new, something solid, something mine. Slowly, gradually, a sense of peace started to settle over me. I spent evenings sitting in my backyard, watching the sunset, the quiet broken only by the chirping of crickets. It was nice, really nice, peaceful, calming. Something I hadn't realized I was missing until I finally had it. I started inviting friends over. We had barbecues in the backyard, movie nights in the living room. My house started to feel like a home. My home. Not a satellite branch of the family drama central station, but my own little world, separate and distinct. One evening, about 2 months after the Sunday dinner meltdown, I was sitting on my porch swing, reading a book, when my phone rang. It was my mom. I hesitated for a moment, my heart sinking a little. Was she calling to yell at me again? To guilt-trip me some more? To demand I sell my house and give the money to Emily? I took a deep breath and answered. "Hello? Alex?" Her voice was softer than I expected, almost hesitant. It's Mom." "Hi, Mom," I said, keeping my voice neutral. There was a pause. Then she said, Your house sounds nice." I blinked, surprised. Yeah, it is, thanks." Another pause. We saw pictures online. Sarah showed us." Sarah was my mom's friend who lived a few streets over from me. Small towns, you know? "Oh," I said, "right." I'd posted some photos on social media when I first moved in, feeling proud and wanting to share my accomplishment with anyone who wasn't my immediate family, apparently. It looks very you," my mom said, and there was something in her tone, a hint of something I couldn't quite place. Regret? Maybe even admiration? "Yeah," I said again, still cautious. "It is." We talked for a few more minutes, mostly about the house. She asked about the garden, the renovations, the neighborhood. It was almost normal, civil even. There was no yelling, no guilt trips, no mention of Emily. Before we hung up, she said, almost as an afterthought, Maybe we could come see it sometime, in person." I hesitated again. Part of me still felt that raw anger, that deep hurt from that Sunday dinner. But another part of me, a quieter, more hopeful part, thought maybe, just maybe, this was a crack in the wall. Maybe, just maybe, things could start to change. "Yeah, Mom," I said finally. "Yeah, you can come see it, anytime." It's been a slow process, rebuilding, baby steps. My parents came to visit the house. They were surprisingly complimentary. Even my mom admitted it was charming. Emily hasn't visited yet, but she did send me a text message, a genuinely nice one for once, saying she saw the pictures and it looks cool. Things are far from perfect. I still have to remind myself that Emily's financial woes are not my responsibility. I still have to set boundaries with my parents. But things are better. Much better. Buying that house wasn't just about bricks and mortar and a backyard. It was about buying myself space. Physical space, yes, but also emotional space. Space to breathe, to be myself, to build a life that wasn't defined by family drama and expectations. And you know what? Turns out sometimes putting yourself first isn't selfish. Sometimes it's the most sane thing you can do. And sometimes, just sometimes, it can even lead to a little bit of peace. Even with your crazy family,